Somewhere along the line, maybe you joined a queue waiting for somebody else, waiting for a boss, a parent, bank balance, partner, maybe your spouse, or maybe you're just waiting for a sign, waiting for something to tell you that you're now allowed. I need to tell you something because it took me a long time to hear it for myself and to truly understand it. Nobody is coming and there never actually was a queue. Hey, I'm Kat Saunders and this is Set the Standard and I see you. Every week we take one standard you've been living by and ask the only question that matters. Did you actually choose this? And if the answer is no, we set a new one. This is episode 3. Let's sit with this one together. I want to talk about something today and I want to talk about it plainly because I don't think this is a flaw within us. I think it's something a lot of us were quietly trained and conditioned to do without ever actually agreeing to it. And it doesn't always look super dramatic. Sometimes it's asking, is this okay? Before it's even decided if it's okay for you. Sometimes it's waiting for somebody else's yes before you let yourself want something. Sometimes it's smaller still. It's people pleasing, wearing a very different convincing disguise, I might add. And we call it being easygoing, being considerate, keeping the peace. And some of that is genuinely who we are. And I'm not asking anyone to stop caring about people. We all know we need more people to care about others in this world. But somewhere in there, for a lot of us, caring about people quietly turned into needing their approval before we let ourselves take action or make a move. And it starts to happen to so many of this. And honestly, most of us were trained into it early and trained really well because it was praised. And here's something that I genuinely find fascinating. If you look at how we were raising children even 30, 40 years ago, it's almost entirely about seeking approval. A little one draws something and runs over and holds it up and waits. And the reflex was, oh, wow, that's amazing, which feels lovely in the moment. But notice what it's actually teaching. Your value comes from my reaction, or your value comes from their reaction. Go and find someone, show them what you made, and then wait for their verdict as to whether it was good or not. What's shifted and is generally backed by psychology now is different questioning. Not, isn't that amazing? But how did you come up with that? That one shift moves the entire internal framing. You're no longer performing for an audience anymore. This little child, she's actually reflecting on her own choices, her own process, and her own thinking. Researchers call this process praise versus person praise. So the research is fairly clear. Children praised for their process grow up more resilient, more motivated, and less dependent on somebody else's reaction to know how they feel about, the choices that they've made. And I share that because I think a lot of us grew up in this old model. You get the gold star for being a good girl, creating the good grades. It's approval for following instructions, approval for being good, being easy, not being trouble, all of it quietly teaching us all the same lesson. I don't know how you feel. I don't know how I feel unless somebody tells you. So it's always this external validation. I don't say this to blame anyone. Most of the people who trained us were doing their best, often passing on exactly what was passed on to them. But here's what I want you to take from this, because this part matters. If it was trained in, it can definitely be trained out slowly in your own timeline, depending on how important this is to you to change your standards, of course. So I was in a relationship once where I didn't even see it at the time, but if he said no, that was the answer. And that's just how it was. And it took me a long time to even notice that, let alone question it. And when I finally did question it, the thought that undid the whole thing was really quite simple. Where's the equality in that? I contribute to this relationship. This is my life too. And not only that, but what am I modeling for other women and what am I modeling for my own child? If that is the standard somebody else holds the final say over what I would like to be able to do. And I want to be really honest with you. I didn't have agency in that moment. I'd love to say that I did, but I didn't. And that was the beginning of noticing. And noticing is where things start for absolutely everyone. And that includes myself. Here's the thing about confidence. You can see this version of me that sits in front of the camera. It says things plainly. And I was not born with this. Nobody is. I built it slowly, imperfectly, and I'm still building it right now. Look at this. This is episode 3. I'm not perfect at this. I'm learning it in real time, out loud in front of you, but I made a decision to make it happen anyway. There's a layer under the permission thing most of us don't say out loud. So why not? Let's go there. Let's have a look. Sometimes we shrink, we settle, we hand over our yes because somewhere within us, it feels safer that way. It can feel safer in our relationships, safer in the home that we have built, safer in, definitely safer than the unknown, than the other side of actually speaking up. And here's the question that I really want you to be able to sit with, because it's the one that undid all of that for me. For a lot of us, it isn't actually safety we're protecting, it's comfort. And those are two completely different things we've learned to blur together. Comfort says, this is familiar and change is scary, but safety says, I'm not okay here. And one of those you can sit in while you find your feet. The other you need to act on immediately. If what's coming up for you right now is a safety version, if some part of you already knows the situation that you're in isn't just uncomfortable, but isn't good for you or puts you in danger, hear me really clearly here. You're not alone, and you don't have to carry that quietly. Lean on friendships that you trust, speak to your doctor, reach out to local support systems. They exist exactly for this, and using them isn't dramatic. It's in fact really wise and one of the best things you can do for yourself. There are people who already hold a belief in your worth and your value that maybe you just haven't discovered in yourself yet. So let them hold that and carry that with you. We all like to love and support people. But here's the thing I've had to learn, and I actually learn, not just say it out loud in this podcast. Permission is not a fact that you get. It's not something that you receive. It's a feeling, and you can wait for that feeling forever. Some of us have waiting decades for a feeling that's never actually coming because it was never anybody else's to give us in the first place. So here's the truth I want to offer you today. You don't have to feel fully permitted before you act. You're allowed to act a little unsure, a little bit wobbly, and let that feeling of permission catch up to you afterwards. That's not recklessness. That is exactly how confidence is built and bred, not before the leap. It actually happens during. So 3 moves that we can make this week without pressure, just noticing. So move number 1 is notice the place in your life where you're waiting. Just notice it. That's all. Where in your life are you currently waiting for somebody else's yes before you let yourself move? And it might be small. It might be enormous. You don't have to fix it today. Just acknowledge that it's there. Move number 2 is maybe run a little bit of an experiment in your life. Pick the smallest, the safest version of that thing without asking first. Not a big, scary one, a small one. Book the thing, say the thing, wear the thing. Let yourself know that the sky is not going to cave in because you did something for yourself. And move number 3, write yourself a permission slip. Just once, put it on a piece of paper and put it in your notes app, whatever feels right. I love a post-it note, like bam, in front of my mirror, whatever's going to work. And give yourself permission and finish it honestly. Keep it somewhere that you're going to see it, and you don't need anybody else to countersign it. That's the whole point. It's about you giving yourself permission. So let's land this. Nobody's coming to tap you on the shoulder, not because you're not worthy of it, but because that was never how permission worked. It never works like that. It always was going to, and it's always going to need to come from you. And if that feels like a lot to hear today, I understand, because it took me a long time to hear it too. And I'm still hearing it honestly, and I'm still practicing, but I made a decision to start. That decision was only one permission that is going to count. And if something in this stirred for you, DM me the word permission on Instagram or on Messenger. I'd love to hear what you're starting to notice in your world, what you've been settling for. That's where the real conversation starts. And if it feels right, I will walk you through my discovery process, what really started to shift my world, and how I get to experience it. So before you go, thank you again so much for being here. Episode 3 of this little show. And if you're enjoying it, please subscribe, leave a comment. And if you're in a position to share this with a woman who's still waiting in her queue to be called, that would mean the world, because you were never meant to meet the standard. You're meant to set the standard. I'll see you next week.